floods, wildfires, pandemics. These are the current events happening right now. Hi, everybody. My name is Karen, and on today's podcast, we're going to be discussing today's topic: are you prepared for an emergency situation? With that said, today I'll be joined by my co-host, Yvonne.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to go ahead and get started with the topic. So, thank you for joining us, and let's go ahead and begin. So, Yvonne.
Yes.
I guess the first question is, what type of emergency are you prepared for?
I mean, can you be prepared for an emergency? I guess it'll depend on where you live.
Okay.
So the location.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So, I guess on today's topic with that, we had apparently a flood in Houston.
When do we ever? It seems more recent to have a flood in Houston, even if it doesn't rain.
Exactly. Of all times and days, it was a beautiful sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we have 610 flooded completely on both ways.
Around 12 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, in the afternoon, it flooded. Yeah, basically the whole thing, and it was shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was shut down. As of right now, we're having to ration water too.
Yes.
Boil and ration water.
Ration.
Yep. So, which brings me back to that question: were you prepared for this situation?
Yes, but then I realized that I am the type of person that gets the news on social media.
Oh, okay.
So I rely too much on the internet and technology, and when the internet went down, that's when I realized, oh my God, I don't have the best service.
The panic setting.
Yes.
Okay.
So I like to be informed, but in this situation, I feel like if you don't have internet, basically you're screwed, unless you have a good data provider.
I mean, even if you have a good data provider, I guess, think about it. What was it, Rita?
Mm-hmm.
When the cell towers went down.
Yes.
And everybody was trying to make a call, and then I guess the telecommunication lines were overloaded, so nobody could get in.
Mm-hmm.
I think at one point they ended up switching all of the emergency staff to just like radio voiceover, like radio only, not cell towers or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. I think so I am a little bit prepared when it comes to, like, let's say, for example, I know during the months of June all the way to September is hurricane season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit prepared for that. I've gotten a lot better, making sure that we have extra, like, first aid kit, but the basics.
The basics, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do what you can with so much.
Yes, but have I ever been in a situation where I have to be, where I have to do decisions, or make emergency decisions? Like, let's say, for example, the house floods and I had to evacuate. I don't know how I would handle that because I haven't experienced that. Thank God.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but I guess maybe I would say half I'm prepared and half I'll just wing it.
Okay. I mean, and that's I think that's the best thing not the best thing, but I mean, I think that's the only thing you really have left in regards to emergency situation.
You can prepare for anything. And I would say anything because there's that TV show where, what's it called?
Doomsday Preppers?
Yes.
The Doomsday Preppers right now are probably the ones that have bought out all the N95 mask for coronavirus.
Yes.
And they're also probably the ones that have bought out all the water.
Yes, and I've been telling you, let's get medical mask or anything like that.
We had, like, medical masks. We had a 3-pack. I don't know what happened to it in the house. It's like, I was like, we have some, and then all of a sudden, they just disappeared. Probably when Mom cleaned out the tool shed and just threw everything out. Anyways, with that said, going on to the second question. So, when was the last emergency you had? Which kind of goes back to today's emergency.
Yes, today it was an emergency because of the water leak, and especially because it's citywide. It was a citywide
Yeah.
emergency.
So
Um,
actually, from what I heard, it's 50% of the city of Houston water that has been depleted, basically. So I'm wondering if they have reserves. I would
don't
assume they
know.
do,
I would
but
hope
I would
so.
assume that they don't want to use those because I don't think they've fixed the leak yet. I think they shut.
I think they shut the water to that pump, but they haven't fixed it because they have, of course.
And even if they ever,
with all the leftover water, it flooded, so
it has to drain.
Yeah, it has to drain.
And they have pumps pumping that out. I think, yeah, they have pumps that they're gonna be pumping running 24 hours. I think, with that with the water. But even then, they're saying to boil the water because sewage and everything got in it.
So in this situation, in this question that you asked, when was the last emergency? I would say this, because we have to take everything in. Like every time we have something that concerns us, mainly with water, or mainly with fire, chemical fires, or anything like that, that's an emergency.
I think that's I would say a health hazard.
Health hazards are emergencies.
Yes.
The good thing is that we always prepare ahead, since we have water gallons in a head.
And they're 5-gallon water gallons.
Yeah, so we have more than enough. That's why you don't have. I keep telling Karen, you can't be lazy refilling the water.
I refill it. I'm the one that forces you to go. Anyways, I won't even get into that. But yes, I do like to be prepared.
Yeah. So in this situation, yes, this would be considered the emergency. But I mean, we can't always rely in social media. Like today, for example, to figure out a shortcut, because there was all these traffic leaving from work, I had to put the GPS.
No, I told you where to go though. I told you there's a back road.
Yeah, but
for
still,
Houston.
GPS.
No, she just didn't trust me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, I agree with you on that, because the only reason we found out about it was through social media and then going to the actual news.
Yeah.
Not through like the television or anything, because we don't really have access to a television at work.
And I was surprised that when I turned on my TV, one of the broadcasting channels, they had like their regular program.
No,
it wasn't.
I think because by the time we heard about it, it was already 1 hour in. Like I think the vow broke around, I want to say 10:30 to 11 a.m. And then by the time we heard it, it was like noon, and then that's when the thing was really flooded.
Yeah,
because it just kept leaking.
Oh well, I was like, what? You would think that the live news, but this is the thing. They had live coverage on their website.
Yeah, they had it on social media. Yes. They had it on their personal website. Like, it was all digital content.
Yeah, it wasn't. What happens if the internet goes down?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying on that. Telecommunications crash. And I guess that's it.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question for you is, do you know where most emergencies affect people? So I guess, who is more prone to emergency situations, like more at risk?
This is a hard one.
Because to me, the way I see that one is, I always feel for like the elderly.
Oh, yes.
Those who have any kind of disability. And of course, children. Yes. And infants. When I say children, I mean like infants. And anybody on medications.
Yes, I would agree. I would definitely, because even when Hurricane Ivy happened, no, it was Hurricane.
There was like Ike, Rita,
Harvey.
Oh,
that
Harvey.
Was the last recent one.
Yeah.
So when Hurricane Harvey happened, I saw a picture where it was an senior home, and they were literally sitting in water because they weren't evacuated on time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying, because it does affect people, and some people are not. Unfortunately, they have to. Yeah,
they're
they have
not
to
as
deal
capable.
With the emergency.
Yeah, and then I guess it also, in a way, it also affects our emergency response teams, because think about it, like you mentioned Harvey, we only have a set finite of people, and then what really gets me with emergency people or emergency responders is like, they're out there helping everybody else, but then they're also worrying about their own
Their own
families
family.
and like,
Mhm.
are they being taken care of? Are they okay? You know.
Mhm.
So I mean, I guess it's also a shout out to our emergency responders. You know,
Yes.
for in situations like these are, I would consider these are like very stressful situations, because
Mhm.
not only are you stressing about doing your job, but you're also stressing about your family and your loved
And you're.
ones, and are they
Mhm.
okay? Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you on that, and I remember that image too. And I think that's who it affects the most in
In
regards
regards
to
to. Mhm.
situations that are like emergency, even pandemics, like I guess coronavirus.
Mhm.
Right now, the more the most susceptible to like getting it in a bad case scenario are the elderly and like
Mhm.
infants,
Yeah.
which makes sense because once your immune system weakens, you
Mhm.
know, you're more prone to, or it's more dangerous for you to like
Not to
contract.
mention that the doctors have to be wearing a hazmat suit or something like that
And that's the other
to
thing too
protect them.
with first responders. It's like even when 9/11 happened, you know how a lot of them just went in there and they were breathing in glass,
Mhm.
basically the smoke and the glass in the lungs, and they got a lot of health problems going on further. That's the other thing, is like, what if they get a staph infection from like a cut that they got from like
From
sewage
and
or
dealing
any of
with all
that.
that water.
Mm-hmm.
Who
I can.
knows what's in that water?
Yeah, I mean, and then they wear protection and all this, but I mean, even so, are, come on, like it's difficult. So I guess it affects. I think for me, in my opinion, aside from like just the elderly, it would be the first responders and the effects that they have as well
Mhm.
after,
Yes, I would
health
definitely agree
wise.
with that.
So with that said, I guess in the my next question is also, why are emergencies difficult to prepare for? Which I think is kind of like a stupid question, but also is like it's a question because you can prepare, which I don't understand. So I guess I'll use doomsday preppers for the thing.
Yes.
They're only prepping for one thing,
Mhm.
and yeah, you can prep for one thing and maybe use it for other things, but can you really be prepared? Like if you're preparing for maybe just a flood.
Yeah. So my answer to that is you can never be prepared. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you do, you can never be prepared. That's why sometimes the extent to which they do things in that TV show,
Yeah.
it's kind of hilarious because not emergencies are not planned.
Exactly. That's why they're
Yeah.
emergencies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They are not planned. So as much as you prepared, you won't be able to know for a fact whether or not you're going to be dealing with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens if somebody steals all your food? What are you going to do? What happens if, let's say for example, you need to evacuate and you stored all of your food on in the house that's flooding?
Oh, that's very
Yeah,
true.
so you can never be prepared. You only have to make sure that you're able to adapt. That's my thing. Making sure that
That's
you're
the
able
key
to
word.
adapt. Yeah.
Yeah, adapt. You have to be adaptable to.
So if you can do that, then you're going to be prepared.
I agree. That's actually you heard it from Yvonne, folks. You gotta be adaptable to the situation. Okay, and I agree 100% because I always like that always. Whenever they get the grades for Doomsday Preppers, and if y'all
Yeah.
haven't seen Doomsday Preppers, I think they have a couple of them on Netflix, like a couple of the
Yes.
seasons. Definitely watch it because
It's a hilarious show.
it's funny, and we're not saying like it's hilarious in
We're not
regards to
making
making
fun of them, yeah.
because some of them have very like, I think a couple
like that lady that prepared for the hurricane. She
exactly,
actually helped.
and she actually helped people. She
in
was
real
giving
life.
out water, because she had stockpiled.
Mm-hmm.
She had stockpiled cans and food and water when they had
Mm-hmm.
that hurricane. I think it was Ike.
No,
No, it was Sandy.
yeah,
Hurricane Sandy.
It was in New Jersey, I think.
New
or
Jersey or like
New
yeah,
York
New
or
York.
somewhere
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And then so she was. It helped. It
Mhm.
helped that she had all that water, all her neighbors. Like she was an asset to the community.
Mhm.
I think that's what it was. It's like she helped her community, even if it was a small quantity, and it was more than enough. You know.
Yeah.
So it justified her prepping.
Mm-hmm.
My thing though is like the people that go full on, I'm just gonna collect firearms and build a fort to keep people
See, that's
out.
they're taking it to the extreme. That to me is not it's you're counting on something, and you shouldn't be doing that. You should be able to, like that lady. She prepared by having extra food. She knew that she would eventually evacuate.
Yeah.
But she was saving herself some time. She was adapting to the situation by saving herself some time and helping others.
Because honestly, it goes back to like fight or flight. You know, some people they're gonna bunker down and sit, and like I understand the reasoning behind wanting to stay where they are, but honestly, if there's a wild, like Australia for example, if there's a wild, like they had the wildfires in Australia, a lot of the people had to evacuate regardless of what they had. If they were watering, regardless of it, they had to evacuate because the situation was that even if they stayed, they couldn't breathe the air.
Yeah.
They couldn't. There was mudslides after because they had rain. There was literally everything around them was literally on fire, so it was hot. Everything was melting. So I'm like, in situations like that, you've literally put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that hunkering down and staying put is gonna help.
And going back to that TV show, I see why they get the ratings that they do. They expect to get high ratings, but at the same time, you can't predict the situation.
No,
it's impossible to know everything.
And you know what I've noticed about that show when they give them out the ratings is that the people who have an escape plan are the people that actually end up getting higher ratings.
Yes.
Because I'm guessing whoever the experts are, and I'm going to assume they get like survival experts and like tactical people and all this other stuff, to their credit, is they're assessing the situation like you said, how adaptable are you? You adapted to getting water, you adapted to, finding a food system, you adapted to a security system, and then when all of that falls apart, you adapted to an escape plan. So you have an escape plan for that. And that's why they give them the ratings of like, you have 44 days of survival.
Or 6 months or something.
6 months of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I feel like one guy did a really good job. They gave him the highest a year. Yeah. It was a year.
It was a year survival rating or something like that. And then some of them I understand because they have families, so it's even more difficult. And then some of them are also doing it on like a budget.
Yes.
Because also it's expensive if you're just going to store stuff that you're probably, hopefully never having to use. So I
feel like that some of them, they want to use it.
Yeah, the guy with the castle or the fort.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
There's some that are very questionable. Yeah. And I hope the government.
I mean, I'm just saying. But anyways, yeah. So I guess that was my 2 cents or question as well too. So I guess my final question to you, Yvonne, is how are you preparing for the next emergency?
That's a hard one. Well, I guess I'm definitely preparing for a hurricane.
Oh yeah.
I'm enjoying the winter right now. Semi-winter.
Well, it's gonna be hot tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be cold tonight.
Yes.
Freezing cold, scorching hot tomorrow.
But basically, if you know the seasons and you know what goes around in your city, in regards to either tornadoes, weather patterns, or anything like that would endanger you, then make sure that you are looking at the news. Especially for me in the summer, I always look at the news. I have my hurricane website. I'm like your boss. Looking at the hurricane website in June.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
And then I make sure that we have plenty of water, because water is the number one. You can survive without food, but you cannot survive without water.
Yeah, I think the max you can go, or the human person can go, is 3 days without water.
Yeah, no. So make sure that you have water. Make sure that if there's a storm, that you're charging ahead of time the electronics, because you don't want to be watching Netflix.
People, please buy surge protectors.
Yes.
Because at least that way your electronics don't get fried when the power goes out.
Yeah. So any little minor things that can make you comfortable, that's how I prepared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the only way that you're going to be able to, I guess, survive. Let's put it in
Survival terms. Okay.
survive. Anything that will make you comfortable, that you may need. Like some people, I feel like I remember one student that mentioned that, no, I cannot live without my dry shampoo or something like that. I'm like,
But hey, people
but
got their,
yeah,
people have their weird things. But I mean, I guess.
or like my face cream or something like that. So whatever makes you comfortable that it's gonna help in dealing with the situation, then I would say go for it. Just make sure that you have plenty of water, and make sure that you have emergency contacts.
So,
and you have, one of the things that people forget is that you have a map, a physical map. Do not rely on your GPS because we all do that, and
the network will go down.
Yeah, and sometimes it's inaccurate because roads might be closed and stuff like that. So make sure that you have a physical map.
You know, speaking of physical maps, I wonder, where would you find one? Like, I remember CBS had some.
I would say,
or a printout, I guess.
Like in city buildings. Yeah.
But how would you get a copy of it? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I would say city buildings would have one, like City Works or anything like that. But comment below to see if you can get access to your building map. I think you could download it from the website, but assuming that you don't have internet or anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Unless you physically
print it beforehand
and keep it, but then I guess manually make adjustments to it. But see, that's taking
that adds a lot. Work. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, if you're like if you already know your weather pattern, whether you have, let's say like you're in California and you know you're gonna have wildfires, or if you're in the Central Pacific and you know you're gonna have tornadoes or anything like that, or hurricanes, just make sure that you're prepared. And the best way you can prepare is to keep an eye.
Just stay informed. I guess. Just stay informed on the weather. Because I know they're also having blizzards. We forgot to mention blizzards, tsunamis.
Yeah, all
which we've had, like, not us personally, but like the world in general has had those happen. And the weather patterns with climate change, and I'm gonna throw this in there, have become more, I guess, aggressive.
Yes.
Now that the pattern of the weather or the climate is changing.
And this is the thing. So someone asked me before, would you rather be in a blizzard or deal with a hurricane?
Oh, I think I'd rather go with a hurricane.
Yes, because people forget, blizzard, you're gonna freeze.
Yeah.
You're freezing. You have no electricity. The only thing that's keeping you warm is fire, and that's if you have like either a chimney or anything.
And people forget that with blizzards, it's water. So when it starts to melt,
you're still gonna have water. Yeah. So I honestly prefer
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with hurricanes as well, it's like if you need to, you can always like
use the outside.
If you're smart though, and you know there's gonna be a lot of rain, like do what I did. I collected like 6 buckets of water, fresh water because rainwater is fresh water, so you can drink it if you collect it and make sure you filter it. Because I mean, you still gotta clean it. You still gotta process
it's all preparing. It's all about knowing your own city, or knowing where you live.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you already know where you live and you already know the weather patterns, then that's a basic example of how you prepared for that season.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. Yep, because you already know, you're used to what's going on. You know if it floods, where it floods, usually what are the most flood-prone spots.
And never dismiss, for example, never dismiss the if like they say hurricane category 3.
Because it can amp up real fast.
Yes, exactly.
I think Katrina was like a category 3, and then all of a sudden it did a spin.
And look what happened. People were on their houses on top of the roofs.
People lost their lives.
Yeah,
too.
Because sometimes people tend to ignore it. They're like, oh, it's gonna go down, and it probably will go down sometimes. But sometimes it can also be a huge impact.
What hurricane did we evacuate? We evacuated
I think
Rita?
it was Rita.
But
No,
nothing.
no, not Rita. It was Ike.
Ike. Yeah, it was 2000. No, 2000.
It was right after Hurricane. What was the hurricane that you? It was one hurricane where we evacuated. Nothing happened. There was a lot of traffic.
Oh my god.
Then the next one,
we stayed.
Yeah,
and then the electricity went out. Then we had no ice. Everything. Oh, it was so hot. I can't do heat though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might consider going with the blizzard, Yvonne.
No.
I can't do no heat. I start getting skin rashes.
Hypothermia. You might get hypothermia.
I think I'd rather take our hypothermia than skin rashes and
See,
heat.
There's no win-win to any situation.
There really
it's just
isn't.
make sure that you adapt to the situation.
Okay, Miss. Adapt to the situation.
Adapt to the situation. And I'll be monitoring the hurricane this season.
Oh my God.
I'll be bugging you every. Oh, Karen, we're gonna have a hurricane. We're gonna have a hurricane.
Y'all. She really does send me screenshots like every hour if there's an update
and
on a hurricane. And
if it rains, I do let her know the percentage, the humidity, what's gonna be impacted.
But sometimes she's more accurate than the weather people because by the time I see it on the weather, it's like, oh, it may or may not be. But by the time I get it from Yvonne, it's already happening. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least it's happening, so I know it's for real.
Yes. So that's why you have to be informed.
You have to be informed.
You have to make sure that if you have a reliable source, share it with people. Like one of my coworkers, they didn't share the news. They share for weather. I believe it was the last hurricane. They used a blog that is based on the NASA information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's very resourceful and it's a blog and it's pretty good. It's more accurate. I would say it's more accurate than what we have as news, as weather.
Yeah, because sometimes, and then this is probably another topic for another day. But I want to talk about how the news just loves to milk and make anything that's bigger than what it really is. I know today they were having a field day milking it, and there was helicopters flying left and right and circling like little vultures, and
there were reporters in their rain boots, their rain jackets.
There was reporters in every single corner, every single little corner of the reporter.
And then they do the best to get their feet wet, to talk to any distress
or anybody there,
citizen
general.
That's around the area. If they see a house, if they see debris, they will pick it up. And then do a dramatic throw across just so that cars can pass.
I think one of them was like, this is how big some debris can get. And then they picked up a giant branch.
And sometimes they do go overboard. And then sometimes it's very uncomfortable because, for example, last year there was a lady that they were interviewing and she was crying and they kept interviewing her. And then at one point the lady was like, I'm over here crying and you keep interviewing, putting the mic in my face. No,
I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
And then so the lady just walked out. That is that's very wrong. You should, if you see people in distress, you shouldn't be
sticking a microphone in their face,
right in their face,
and a camera. Like, geez, I know there was during Harvey though. There was one.
It was during Harvey.
No, but there was one there was also another reporter though that was like at the right place at the right time. Cause I think it was a KHOU lady.
Oh yeah.
That her and her camera guy were like on, I forgot what freeway. It was flooded though underneath in the underpass. And there was a trucker driving, still trying to get through.
I think he got stuck in.
He got stuck, but there was no emergency. Like nobody would have seen him if it weren't for them trying to get like shots of the underpass flooded. That they saw him waving, and then the lady and the guy were able to get rescue people to go there, and then they're like, I think they got him right on time because. Literally the truck, and I'm not talking about like a regular, it's a 18-wheeler. It was an 18-wheeler. and it was literally already inside the 18-wheeler. So the 18-wheeler was dead, and then he like not the guy. Well, just the truck.
And the guy couldn't swim.
No, he couldn't swim. And then so he's like he was still in the truck because he didn't feel comfortable getting out. So stuff like that, I would give them kudos that they really helped with that.
But when you're in a shelter, the last thing you want to do is talk to the news.
Yeah, it's like because you don't like a lot.
Some
of people
were in their
pajamas. A lot of them were also they were in their PJs, wet PJs. Some of them were separated from their family, so they didn't even know where their family was.
And some of them, it's surprising because some of the reporters were from really accredited news, like I don't know if it was CNN or NBC or anything like that, but they were from there. That they were interviewing the shelters. I'm like, why are you even there?
I mean, like, I can see why you're interviewing the shelters, but you shouldn't be interviewing people who don't want to be in there. Maybe you should be interviewing the people who are managing the shelters to let you know this is what we're doing. These are the services that we have right now. If you need to come over here, please do. I know that at one point, I think George R. Brown, they kind of got a little bit of backlash because a lot of people were staying outside of George R. Brown to stay with their pets. That's the other thing. So, like, what do you do? Which I forgot to ask you. What are you going to do with Lily?
Oh, my God. I'll stay with her. I don't care if I have to stay in the flooded house. I'll stay with her.
Yeah, a lot of them had pets, and a lot of them refused to
I'll stay in my car.
Behind.
I'll take my... Oh, wait, it's flooded. See, you can't prepare for that situation. You just have to make sure
you just got to think fast and adapt. Well, I guess that was my questions for you. I mean, if any of you listening out there have any tips or information regarding how you prepped, and how you will prep, which I recommend everybody does prep, because I have a feeling this next hurricane season, hopefully it's not the way Harvey is, but the way that they're predicting it is they're saying that basically we're going to start earlier. Yeah. Which is not a good sign.
It really is not a good sign.
So, yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the best I can do with that. So, and then I guess coronavirus, that's a pandemic that's another thing that we have to worry about.
Yeah, that's another thing that's going. And I hear people are canceling their trips.
Yeah.
They're canceling they're canceling their trips, which it makes me kind of want to buy.
Oh, cuz plane travel's cheap now.
I don't know.
I mean,
I feel iffy.
You only live once, Yvonne.
Yeah,
until you get a pandemic. That's true. Oh, but I feel bad for the people who do. Yeah, I think there was
there are cases rising.
Yeah. Well, in the U.S., I know in China it's like.
Yeah.
And with China, and I don't want to say anything negative, so I'm not going to say anything negative, but I'm just going to say with China, they're not really giving you or us all the information of what is going on.
Especially if it's news from another country in a different language.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Well, and I'm also saying because of their government. They're a communist government. So it's really, they are the ones that really control the information that we get. Yeah. We get hand-me-down information. So with me, what I'm basically saying is like we don't know if the numbers they're giving us are higher than what they're giving us. Because there's also been a lot of stuff going or being leaked out from other people in China saying that those numbers are a lot less than what they really want to release. But anyways, yeah, with that said, so I guess I leave it up to y'all. Start thinking about how you can prep for an emergency situation. And hopefully, whatever you do, just at the end of the day, I guess, just make sure that you adapt. And don't be set on just one thing and one plan. I mean, that's the advice Karen can give you.
Yeah, and be kind and generous and push people out of the way.
Don't crowd me. Don't crowd me. Make sure you get your 3 feet space.
Okay, we're giving bad advice. Okay, now we're ending the podcast right now.
On a negative note. No, on a positive note, though. Really, I would say, yeah. And if you can, try to, I won't say make a group, but try to get or pick ideas from other people. Because sometimes, especially, and I will give it to the older generation. The older generation know exactly how to adapt.
Yes.
Because they're so used to not having any of these commodities when they grew up that it's like, oh, it's just like back in the old days. We didn't have no AC. I'm like, what? Grandma, how could you not do it with no air conditioner?
You're over here dying.
She's like, no, mija, sí está bien. And aka translation, oh, it's fine like that. I'm like, it's 80 degrees. It's hot.
Oh, I cannot make it and go visit grandma. I'll die.
I'm really contemplating.
I only last like 2 hours
over there, but
take my little air conditioner.
But see, it's not as humid as it is over here.
Yeah, that's dry.
That's where it gets you.
Dry. See, I would prefer dry hot air than humid hot air.
Yeah. Well, anyways, before we get off topic, with that said, thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna have more podcasts available. Comment below on what you would do in certain situations, and make sure that you watch Doomsday Preppers because it's a funny show.
Oh yeah, shout out to Doomsday Preppers. So it should be on Netflix. If not, it'll definitely be somewhere on here.
Yes.
All right. With that said,